Hi, everybody. Kat here. Welcome in. We've got a lot to talk about today. Meghan and Harry have been pretty busy doing a lot of damage control. They've tried to, as we know, delay the release of their Netflix project, which Netflix isn't keen on doing, even though Meghan and Harry had brought in a director that they wanted. Now they're trying to starting to kind of distance themselves from her and the project, saying, well, it may not be exactly the way we would have said our story. It's her vision. So, in case it goes badly, they're already shifting blame. Megan's been throwing a lot of shade and shifting a lot of blame and trying to reinvent herself these days. The podcast keeps going on. She's insulted actors and directors. Her latest Howie Mandel and Deal or No Deal. Don't you know? 36 episodes in, she decides she's being objectified, so she talks about it. Now, how objectified she was, and it was horrible. The little red mini dress, and the plastered on smile, and the bra stuffing station, and the eyelash station. She felt objectified, and she had to quit. Well, she didn't quit. She was let go because she was coming on to Howie Mandel, and his wife didn't like it. Who's being objectified now? And subsequent to her Deal or No Deal days, somehow she didn't feel objectified enough to talk about the role she took in 90210, simulating a sex act in the front of the car with another actor. Somehow that didn't objectify her enough to bring it up. The hamburger commercial, which can only be described as food porn, you know, no objectification there. Notwithstanding 7 years on Suits, and I don't think there was an episode in which she didn't strip down to her underwear at some point. That's not objectifying. Nah, but Deal or No Deal and Howie Mandel, that's the nut of it. She's just going after everybody that's ever crossed her path that she's not been able to control. That's all. So that rolls on. And in her latest one, she had um, an African American comedian on who happened to mention during the course of the interview that she was Nigerian. So Megan pops up. Oh my God, don't you know I'm Nigerian too? I'm 45% Nigerian. Just outrageous. She never identified herself as black through most of her life and most of her career until recently when it's been convenient to play the race card. That's it. She's just as black as she needs to be, depending on the circumstances. And we've also learned from Megan lately, don't you know, that she's got a funny, silly, lighter than air, smiley side to her that we don't often see. She's Julia Roberts. Don't you know that? You gotta know that. And you wonder, what a bizarre, I mean, how crazy is this woman pulling Julia Roberts out of the air and assuming her personality? Like, where in the hell did this come from? Well, Megan, we know she's very shallow. Julia Roberts has a new movie coming out this winter over the Christmas holidays. Megan probably saw a commercial and said, aha, that's who I want to be. And coincidentally, Julia Roberts' co star, another big star in the movie, is none other than George Clooney, who the Markles invited to their wedding even though they didn't even know them. Those are the kind of people that they wanted to be associated with, trying to buy friendship from influential people. Well, that association lasted for a little while. The Clooneys invited the Markles to their villa in, I think, Italy at one point for a couple of days for a holiday. And don't you know, the minute they get back on dry land, Harry's doing an interview talking all about their house and the island and George's motorcycle collection. Didn't care about their privacy. Uh-uh. And they really have not been talked about, seen with, heard of anything with the Clooney since then. Those ties have been cut because of that behavior. Well, now we get to Harry. He's got his book, um, The Spare, coming out in, I think, January 10th. Very soon, a couple of months. And this, of course, we know he tried to delay the publication of the book until spring because evidently he wanted to edit out a lot of things that he said that might make him look worse than he already does in light of the Queen's death and things that have been going on. And the publisher just said, the book is done. No, you're not doing any more edits. You're not taking anything out. A deal's a deal. Now, it could have been scrapped completely, but they had given Harry quite a hefty advance, and he's probably spent it. Any kind of ditching of the deal would probably require him giving the money back, and that's just, you know, that's not an option anymore. So the book is coming out, and this is going to make him look worse than he already does. And it's going to be embarrassing and bad for the family. The press is going to be after him. The public's going to turn against him. Not going to be a happy new year for Harry. But now we get to the king, King Charles. And all of this is connected, by the way. He's at one level has the power to put everything in place, make a big correction in the course of things. On the other hand, he's balancing on the preface, precipice of his own reign. Let's get into it. The British government has been in talks and they've agreed in the Parliament to make an amendment to the regal proclamation from, I think, 1926 that defines councillors of state. And they were typically siblings and next in line to the throne and this kind of a thing. Well, the British government has made an amendment that allows Charles to make changes to this. Now, right now, the councillors of states, we have Andrew, we have Harry, I think one of his uncles, and Edward. Now, the obvious thing to do would be to get rid of the two that are causing you problems. um, Andrew and Harry. And that's what the public wants too. The public doesn't want royal family members who are not working members, who have basically been sidelined. They don't want them as counselors of state making decisions for the king at a time perhaps he cannot make the decision on his own. What Charles has chosen to do is to keep Andrew, to keep Harry. He's added Beatrice, and I think he's added Anne in as well, and there's that Edward. So, what he's done is padded his counselors of state with three people that run contrary to Charles's um, way of thinking. You've got Andrew, who's had a beef with Charles from the time they were children. Andrew's always been the second son, very spoiled. Um, since the whole Epstein thing and Andrew being sidelined, he's not a happy man. He's lost all of his royal standing. He's lost all of his royal appointments. He's a man in the shadows, and he's been sidelined from any public events. I mean, the funeral and stuff, well, that's his mother, of course. You can't deny him that. We're human after all. But you know what I mean. And there's Harry, who's been so treacherous, abdicating his role in the royal family, leaving, blackmailing them for money, um, using threats of all kinds from, from the racist card as far as Meghan, his wife, is concerned, to, every little slight he's ever had in his life. And now he's put it in a book that's coming out very soon. So you've got these guys as counselors of state. If anything happened that a decision among the counselors had to be made in unison, you've got a stalemate. You've got Andrew. Beatrice is going to side with Andrew. Harry, he's an outcast and he knows it, but the other ones won't even talk to him, so he'll side with Andrew. So you've got three who are very contentious with the king. And on the other side of the table, you've got Edward, Anne, and Charles's uncle, who are all pro monarchy, pro Charles. So, see what I mean? He's setting himself up for disaster if ever some big decision had to be made. These six people cannot work as a group. The whole point of the government doing what they did was to give Charles the option to get rid of Andrew and Harry. That was the intention behind it. That's what they expected him to do. And he blew it. Unless he changes his mind with public opinion and maybe his advisors and maybe talk with some government officials. Maybe he'll change his mind and he'll do what he was supposed to do. You couldn't give a guy a bigger hint. You know, here's a way out. Here's a way that you can get rid of these two. And he doesn't do it. It's just another stepping stone to Charles's downfall. And I've told y'all, unless he's got some big decisions to make. And unless he makes the right decision, the public could very, very easily turn against him. The public isn't going to like this decision or lack of decision. He just, well, let it be. Absolutely, I mean, very detrimental for Charles and for the monarchy. There's been no decision yet about titles for the kids that don't exist, by the way, but that's almost moot when you talk about these things. The titles are up in the air. The fact that Harry and Meghan still have their titles and have not been stripped of everything and banned from England for being, I mean, you could call them traitors. You really could. They have got to be completely sidelined. This hasn't happened. Charles hasn't done anything towards that. And the other big thing we've got going on is that's going to be another problem for Charles very soon. Um, the lawsuit that Harry, along with the likes of Elton John, have in the courts right now regarding privacy. It's, for a privacy law. Basically, we're so big and important, we want to be able to control what the press and the media says about us. In Elton John's case, he just wants people to stop talking about his child porn collection. But the implications of this are huge. If Harry and the others involved win this lawsuit, they can literally put a lid on any bad press, open themselves up to be able to perform even more litigation. And it puts a question to this whole other lawsuit he's got about the security. Him wanting full on security paid by whomever, just not him. Round the clock motorcades and outriders and the whole shebang because he's that important. Well, so these two things, they could impact each other, the results of these things. Now, Charles, as head of the courts, I mean, they're His Majesty's courts. The lawyers all plead an oath to the king. He could very easily get either one of these lawsuits thrown out or just, stopped, or he could compel a decision should he want to. Um, so it's a very dicey time for Charles because, again, these are issues which the public sees through. Harry's going, oh, we need our privacy. You can't talk about us. You can't say all these horrible lies about us. Well, they're not lies, but that's what he's trying to make you believe and trying to compel the court to, act upon. People can see through it. And if Harry wins this lawsuit, people are going to be angry. The public's going to be angry. The press is going to be outraged. And Charles has the opportunity to put a lid on this, and he's done nothing. When the public and the press around the world object to this decision, their anger is going to be focused on Charles. He can't afford to lose the confidence of the public or the politicians or the press. this new decision about the amendment to the Councilors of State law. The government basically handed Charlie an out on a silver platter. Here you go. We did it for you. Now all you got to do is get rid of them. And he did nothing. Is he waiting for the government to go after his monarchy to say, I'm sorry, they've got to go? Is he waiting for them to bully him into doing something so that it might save face for him? Well, if it comes to that, if the government and the press and the print and the people turn against Charles for these reasons, you're in the position that I've mentioned twice before. It's like predictive programming, time warp kind of thing, King Charles III. And I've said before, I don't think Charlie has more than 2 years running. He's going to be gone in 2 years. Could be sooner. If all this comes to a head, after everything Meghan has said, after everything that's going to come out in this book, and King Charles just sits there and lets the crap pour over him, the public is going to become quite disenchanted with him and angrier than ever at Meghan and Harry, and angry at the fact that nothing's being done. And William's going to have to step in and set things right. Have a great day, everybody. Like and subscribe, leave me a comment, and share this video if you think somebody else would like it. Bye for now.